Yeah, hey Silas, man. Yeah, I found that quite warming actually. And it's actually interesting to see how when you engage in a discourse that there's more mutual ground that you can share, and the whole heatedness of a debate can be sort of dispersed. Yeah, I'm becoming more and more respectful, I think, because obviously as there's more interaction, I'm learning to respect the discourse, the discussion, and the communication. Um, you might have noticed actually as well, I've had a shave. That's because on another video that I posted, I had another guy, what was it, Matt for Constitution, telling me that yeah, all of the textbooks come from the Rockefellers, which may or may not be true. It probably is true in some context, and that I went to a university that was run, by the institutions, and that I too, not to brag, and basically it wasn't bragging, I was really just highlighting the textbooks, and there's a wider range of material apart from textbooks, so I don't want to dwell on that. But yeah, he also told me that Alex Jones would school me or teach me and shave off my stupid beard. So I thought before Alex got to me, I'd do it myself. So here we go, smooth face, looking smart and actually like a businessman. It's really interesting. I don't know. I don't think we share any mutual friends. I thought I stumbled upon it, and I think the initial thing which really sort of got my monkey up was the aliens thing. And now looking at it, I buy into that, and I am finding, and it's very interesting. And I can't disagree on someone wholeheartedly. I don't believe that you can disagree on every single point. And what I am really surprised about is the almost sort of fanatical. It is fanatical following that Alex Jones has, and I'm not discrediting what those people are and what they believe, but man, it's quite frightening that there should be this amount of sort of fundamentalism. And again, what I said in another video, I sent a response to you that you can't hero worship somebody. Do you know what I mean? It's basically almost becomes sort of quasi-religious. And then the issues actually get detracted from because people are so into the person and what they're saying, and they're like a preacher and a prophet. And I believe that nobody's a prophet. We're all human beings, and we all make errors, and we all have errors in our judgment. So in a way, I'm getting to like you more and more and more, because in this instance we're communicating. As to like the judgments I've made, and what I've spoken about is, I don't know, I'm a very perceptive person, okay. I've always been very, very perceptive. I don't believe we share any friends or networks, but again, I think the crystallising factor as to why I can't be as fanatical and fundamental as a protest I went to last Saturday in Brighton, which is in the south of England, and just outside Brighton there is a factory which makes bombs and logistics which go to contribute towards the Iraq war in Afghanistan. After Brian Hoare got assaulted in London a couple of weeks back, that really angered me, because this guy is the most peaceful chap in the world, and there is a real big push from the establishment to shut this guy up. Okay, he's won Channel 4, which is probably the more indie of our terrestrial channel televisions, television channels rather. That he got an award, the most politically inspiring person. Now this isn't somebody who preaches in a respect, he talks sense, and I really urge you to look on YouTube or Google video for Brian Hoare, which is H-A-W. Okay, this guy is amazing, and this is the sort of person that I personally hold in very high regard. I'm finding of late that I don't want to slate Alex Jones. I do feel that he draws out a lot of really important issues, but I do think there is a possibility that he could go completely full circle and become immensely right wing, and I think it's in this instance you see people, like you say, acting like heavies, henchmen. And I think in order to progress as a civilization, we need to become less defensive and more proactive and unified, through education, through research. Now your research might not necessarily correlate with what Alex Jones says, that might be in opposition, but you have a right to to feel that. You have a right to take an opposite position, and in a lot of respects, taking an opposite position to somebody and not just jumping on the bandwagon actually extrapolates more issues than if you're just going along, bang, 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 you're right, you're right, you're right, Alex. Now, you know, a lot of what he said has affected me and opened my mind, but I will never 100% believe unequivocally in somebody. Nobody is, it's like, the Pope, infallible. You know, nobody's infallible. He has done a lot of research, and I do believe there is some sort of conspiracy is such a grey word. I do believe there is some organised force which is trying to impress their will onto the people, through capitalism, the interests of the very few. I mean, you look at the poverty around the world. You know, if these people really cared about humanism and human beings, then really there wouldn't be the poverty. There wouldn't be people in $1 million mansions sitting around on their asses all the time. You know, that's where I'm standing. I'm more grassroots, and in England we seem to have a bigger grassroots movement in terms of these things in protest. But I'm digressing. Going back to this protest, I was in a march, and it got quite aggressive, and we will be marched to Brighton police station, and before there's been a lot of to's and fro's in the protesters and the police have got quite aggressive, so there's a lot of pent up aggression which I think needs to be dispersed. And there were people standing outside the police stations shouting, fuck the police, you know, and I just thought, no, I can't chant that, because to a point they do a job, and they're not all part of this. So it was my opinion that you should stand and talk to the police, you know, calmly. Start educating the police about what's going on, asking them questions, actually making them use their brains, opposed to opposing a force. You know, as soon as they have to oppose a force, they drop into a mode of thinking, bang, we're doing our jobs, and that's what it is. There, it becomes a law issue, and it becomes from above. But if you were actually going to talk to a policeman, in a discourse, in a dialogue, you know, you'll get more ground that way. I know a lot of people are frustrated and feel that's not the way, but the thing that really crystallised it was when I looked into the crowd of the police, and there was a guy I was mates with at school standing on the opposite side, you know, and if it was down to factions, he's on the other side, but he was always polite, he was always respectful, he was always nice. And you know, how can I turn round and turn my back on someone? They've made their choices for whatever reason, but how can I turn round and fuck the police, you know? And it was at that point I realised that, as well as sharing ideals with these people, as well as having the conviction and the passion that these people have, I still have a differing viewpoint on a lot of levels, and I thought that the routes they went to achieve it deviated from the issue. And what I feel is that a lot of the aggression and the passion these people have are being directed with people they disagree with, and everyone should have a right to speak and express themselves, you know. But to tell you a little bit more about me, man, I'm a freelance web designer. I hate working 9 to 5. I've never subscribed to a mainstream way of thinking. I do have a stupid beard at points. I think that's just to cover up my face, and as you probably know, in England it's quite cold, so you know, Matt for Constitution, I wrote him a little letter as well, because the guy who taught me at uni, funnily enough, was a guy who asked me and told me and prompted me to question the institutions, prompted me to look into the way history was brought about, the way history is written, the way it was empirical. So my focusing on textbooks, etc., is really more to the point that history is dead, and that no information really is unequivocal, purely because it's subscribed to by the masses, and what the masses digest is usually applied from above through the governments and through their methods. But to cut a long story short, dude, you know, I appreciate the discourse, and I really hope that these videos get more coverage than the initial one, because the initial one was like the fire starter, you know, and now it's up to people to really articulate their ideas, you know, and to communicate with you politely, and allow you, if you know, there might be links that other people have that can inform you, but just the people who are standing there and mimicking, and you know, it's too quick, it's too easy to get involved in your own anger and to be emotional. What really intelligent people do is step back from their emotions, think, and then apply logic